At CBF, we know that for you to change your body, you need to change your mind. Exercise and eating healthy is only part of the plan. We care about our members as we care about our family, because our members become our family. It is not about competition, but support. It is not about being the strongest or the fastest, but about you defeating your negative self. It is about working together and making the task challenging and have fun. By the end, what matters is not how hard the session was, but that you take control of your mind so you can take control of your body. My name is Sandro Torres, and I'm happy you are part of our family. Welcome to Custom Body Fitness. Okay, everybody, welcome to another book review here. Today I'm going to be talking about The Shack, what I learned from The Shack. We're going to go over a couple of things. This is an amazing book. It helps you understand yourself and others. And it gives you the power to learn about why we behave the way we behave. Now, you have to understand something. This is not the only book I read about. A lot of things that I'm going to talk about this book. There is many other books that I read about this. When I say that, when the authors come and tell you the concept about how to improve your life, everything starts making sense. So don't you think that this book is the only one that I had to read to make a lot of good conclusions about human behavior? Now that I mentioned that, the next thing I want to mention is that my goal here, and like any other video, is not to persuade you to think like I think. It's not to persuade you to believe in what I believe. Is to give you information so your life improves. You get the best out of this video. You make the conclusions you want to make. But my goal is not to make you think like the way I think. My job, once again, is to give you the information so you make your own decisions. Based on that information, this book is about God. Okay, this is not a religious book, but it talks about God. So before I even read this book, I knew God existed. It's not that I believe in God. There is a difference between belief and there is a difference between knowing. So I know God exists. For example, you can believe, if you want to believe, there is gravity in this world. You can't see the gravity, right? But you know the rules of the gravity. If you're trying to jump out of a window of a 3-story building, you're going to suffer the consequences of gravity. Even though you don't see gravity, you know it exists. It's the same thing for me with God. Once again, I'm not trying to convince you that you should believe in God. Your belief is your belief, and I respect that. But what I'm telling you is, I know God exists, and this book helps me to understand more about God as well. So let's begin with this book. So I'm going to tell you the story real quick. Once again, I recommend you read it like any other books. Don't just go with my review, because I miss a lot of things that I really want to talk about this book in this video, but because of the time and I don't want to bore you, and reading hits different muscle cells than listening to a video. Go right ahead. If you want to improve your life, buy this book and read it. Once again, it's an amazing book. Of course, as you know, I don't sell books. This is not my book. I have other 2 books that I wrote, but I don't make any money out of this. I'm just telling you how this book came and improved my life. So this book is about, and I believe we can, if we think about this guy, we can relate to this guy. So this guy believed in God. He didn't know God existed. He believed that there was a God out there. Remember, it's a difference between belief and knowing. So he had a lot of anger because his dad used to beat him up, and then he committed. You have to read the book to make your conclusions, but he left the house doing something he wasn't happy with, and as the story start evolving, his daughter gets raptured by a serial killer, and it kills his daughter. They never found the body, and that's how the story started evolving. He meets God. Once again, read the book, make your own conclusions. I'm not telling you this is a true story. You have to read it and then understand where this guy is coming from. So I'm gonna give you my review and tell you what I learned about this and improve my life. Let's begin with the great sadness. That's how they called it, and I believe most of us are in a great sadness. We go through a lot of traumas, and we feel empty in our inside. Somehow we don't feel fulfilled. Sometimes because of the traumas that we went through, or sometimes because we don't understand what's going on with us. So the great sadness of this guy, his name is Mark. It's Mackenzie, but they call him Mac. No, Mac. It's his childhood traumas, and then the rapture of his daughter. So that sadness never goes away, and then he gets bitter against God because he thinks that in religion they think God is an angry person that is always punishing people because they're doing the wrong thing, but he doesn't understand how God works, and that's what the book is about. That's how everything started, with the great sadness. The other chapter, I'm jumping from the 4th to the 5th chapter. It talks about he meeting God. It's interesting because he doesn't meet God just like it sounds in the book that he meets God in person. But the way that he meets God is he gets into an accident, but you need to read the book to understand how that happened. And then he meets God, but he's really meeting God. And then when he wakes up in the hospital, things start getting a lot of blurry, but then he makes that connection about everything he went through. I'm jumping to chapter 7, chapter 8, Breakfast with the Champion, a long time ago in a garden or far, far away. So I need to go through the book to give you a couple of things that I think are very important in this book. Not about because of the book, because you don't care about the book, but more than anything about the conclusions that you can make and how that can improve your life. Okay, so one of the things that I learned from this book is most of our hurts come from relationships. So we are in pain because a dysfunctional relationship, either with our parents, with our loved ones, with whatever it is, with other people that came and hurt us or whatever. So therefore, to take that pain away, we also need relationships to fix it. So one gives the pain and the other one cures it. So it's very important. For you to be cured from your traumas, you need a good relationship. Not all the people here are evil. And the people who are evil are unconscious evil. But there is good people that are working for God. They're actually helping you to become a better person. Okay, so this chapter talks about you. Once again, I'm not going to tell you this story. I'm going to tell you what I learned from this. Okay, so this is not the story. This is what I'm getting out of this book. So in this story, it talks about the pain, and most people trying to run away from pain, and the people who trying to run away from pain are not happy, and the people who actually embrace the pain are happy. So you don't want to go where most people go. You want to take the road less traveled. You want to go in the different direction that most people do, because most people make wrong decisions and you want to make the right decisions. So not because everybody's doing what it seems to be right, it means that you're doing the right thing. So sometimes you have to make the conclusion that embracing pain is the best thing for you. Okay? So that's a conclusion from that chapter. The next chapter is this is an amazing thing, and I disclosure a lot of things about my life. And this and different books that I different videos that I make, and the videos that I make, like I said, I disclosure a lot of things about my life. So let's see how that helps. So one of the things that I read in another book, and this came and reinforced it, is for you to actually heal from any trauma, for any burden, anything that you do wrong, it's important that you talk about your mistakes, and it's important that you talk about the traumas that you had. Now, when you do that, you don't just go and talk to a stranger. Even though that helps, you want to go and talk to somebody that you can trust. You want to go talk about the pain that you're going through. It is good that you talk about the traumas that you went through. And don't be afraid. I'm not here to tell you what to tell other people who you trust or not, but I'm telling you what I learned. If you being raped, if you being abused, if you were a gang member, if you did drugs, if you stole something, if you lied, if you cheated, whatever happened in the past and you regret it and you want to change, it is okay to tell the people. People are going to judge you no matter what. But when you regret and when you trying to heal and you understand that you're going to do your best not to do it again, you start healing when you tell somebody your story. So it's important that you go out there and talk about what's going on in your life. So I learned that, and that was one of the things that actually helped me to become a better person and feel okay with myself, not running away from myself. So don't keep secrets just for keeping secrets. We all have something wrong that we did, and we all have something that somebody else did wrong to us. And when we understand that, we start healing. So that's what I got from the other chapter. So Mackenzie Mack started talking to God about the issues that he's going through and how angry he is with his dad and and with God. So the next chapter, what I learned from that book is let me see if I can find a note or something here. Okay, so I believe, I don't remember what I get this chapter, but the next chapter talks about, so when you sad and you stay sad, that means depressed. You can't see the future. You can't be happy. And this book talks about it's okay to be sad, but you need to reconcile with yourself. You need to understand that you need to be happy. Doesn't matter what happened in your life. You need to find a way to understand that sad things happen to a lot of people. And because of that, it also happens to you, but you need to let that sadness go so you can be happy. Otherwise, it's going to be impossible for you to be happy. So that's the other thing I learned from this book. Now I'm going into the chapters. The next thing I learned is this reminds me of this chapter. It reminds me of Steve Jobs. He actually gives a conference in one of the schools. I think it was Harvard, when he gives the conference talk, and he's talking about one thing that I think makes sense. You need to understand that for you to make the conclusion, but we always try to figure out our future, and we don't understand our past unless we pay a lot of attention. But there is things that happen to us in the past that is gonna make our life better, even though they seem very painful in the beginning. So Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can always connect the dots. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. So what he meant with that is he went through a lot of pain. You have to read his biography as well. Another book that I read. It's a good book. It's, like I said, that's not in my top 10 one that I like, but it's a very good book. It teaches you that he wasn't successful because you think he had the money and he just became successful and he come out with the company Apple. He was successful because he went through a lot of pain. And he was adopted when he was a child. He lost his money. He wasn't very successful in his relationship. He went through a lot of things. So because he went through a lot of pain, he actually you have to read his story, so it makes sense to you. Otherwise, I'll be spending a lot of time talking about him in this review. But he suffered a lot, and he went back and studied his life, and he understood that he suffered a lot. But thanks to all that suffering, he became the person that he is right now, and thanks to that, he was successful. So he connected the dots looking backwards. So that's what this book it talks about. It talks about the things the pain that you're going through right now. If you see it, if you understand that it's for your own good, because the pain is working. And it talks that God actually, he doesn't create the pain for you to wake up. He uses the pain that you're going through to get wonderful things out of you. So he's not punishing you. The evil that is in this world, we created when we claim our dependency, when Adam claimed our dependency and we claim our dependency, we make choices. And those choices, we make wrong choices. And those wrong choices, that's where evil comes. And we suffer. But God doesn't create that. He doesn't punish us. He doesn't create the evil, so we suffer. We actually go through pain, and God gets the pain so we can actually become a better person. So you can see those dots. You can start connecting those dots and see how your life is turning around with the pain that you're going through. So that's another thing I learned from this book. Let's go to the next chapter. The next chapter is about another thing that I learned, and this is a very good book right here. This chapter is that we are human beings, and many of us, we think we are special. We are special. We are especially bonded with God in somehow, but because either we make more money, we have more knowledge, because we're stronger, because whatever it is, that doesn't make us better than the other person. It makes us different. So nobody is above of nobody. We all are in the same level. Even though there is kids, the younger, they have less experience than us, that doesn't mean they're less than us. They have less experience. And our job is to get to their level to teach them, so they can become a better person. They can become leaders when they're our age. So this book talks about that. It talks that God gets to our level so we can learn and we can become better people. God is never there to like a master, like telling us, you did this wrong. You need to fix this. You need to become this person. You do and you sinning. No, he gets into the human level. That's when Jesus kicks in and teaches. God, he gets our hand and leads us with our hand. So he never is above us, even though he is God and he is better than us, and he's not because he's better, it's because he's the whole thing, right? But he teaches how we can become that great person, not by being a master, but being to our level. So that means that we need to do the same thing to other people. We never better. We need to stop judging people. We need to understand people. The next book talks about, the next chapter talks about, okay, it talks about how corrupt we have become. And the goal of God is not, once again, to punish us. The goal of God is to make us wake up and makes us a better person. But that's our job. He only teaches how to do the right thing. It's up to us to make those decisions. We want to have control of everything, and that makes us feel safe when we have control. And we don't want to risk anything, and we don't want to step to the unknown. And because we don't want to step on in the unknown, we're going to continue being who we are. And therefore, we feel protected because of that. Here's a great example. I think I know things. For example, I think I know that food is good for you. And let's say meat, veggies, and fruits are good for you. So that's what I know. And because of that, I have some control in my life. Right? Because I have some control in my life, because I eat those foods every day, I feel protected. But if somebody comes and right now challenge me and say, okay, Sandro, those foods are good, but you better if you fast. You can fast for 40 days and you see how your mind changes. You're going to be more clear about more things and your body's going to be healthier. Now, because I'm grounded to my belief and know that food is good and I don't want to fast, I lose some control and I don't want to risk. And because I don't want to risk, I can grow. So the same happened with our feelings. Because we feeling anger, and we're feeling angry. We have some anger towards somebody who did something wrong to us. And that anger is protecting me from being vulnerable to the person who did something wrong to us. We don't want to let it go. But if somebody tells us, you have to let go that anger and you have to forgive the person, we don't want to step into that new field and be vulnerable to the person, because we don't want to get hurt again. So it's important that you challenge yourself to new knowledge and understand where are you messing up, and understand that sometimes it's good to step up to get some new knowledge to become a better person. So that's what I learned about that chapter. Hi, this is an story, a very interesting quote that I got from this book. So it talks in that chapter. It talks about the fish. If you see the fish, the water goes unnoticed. The fish doesn't know there is water there, unless the fish jumps out of the water and then it's missing the oxygen and you put it back in the water, and then the fish kind of understands that he needs to be in the water for him to survive. So the same thing with us. We live in an evil world that we don't know that evil is here until we notice that it's evil. But unless we notice that it's evil things, we never understand that it's evil things that we do. But that's how God comes and enters. When you have God, you understand what are the evil things and how you become a better person. Because sometimes we think and believe that because we go to church, that's enough. But we don't live under God's commands. It's not about following the commands that is there in the Bible. It's about understanding why those commands are there. Because the commands are not created and invented. The commands are taken because the world was created and there is things that actually destroyed us. But we don't know those things destroyed us unless we understand why those things destroyed us. So for example, I'm just going to put an example out there. You don't know venom, poison come in and destroy you unless you take it. If you take the poison, then you be destroyed. So then you can write down, poison destroy you. Poison can kill you. But if you don't trust, if you don't know, if you don't understand why poison destroy you, you can go and drink out of that without you understanding. But if you don't understand the words, but you understand the poison destroy you, you're not gonna go and drink it. Doesn't matter if it says don't drink it or drink the poison. You understand that that's poison and you're gonna die. Doesn't matter if it's written in a paper or it's not. When you understand it, you simply understand and you do the right thing. So that's the analogy of the fish. Oh, this chapter talks about that this is the contrary. This talk about good. Everything that God created is good, but we use it the wrong way. And if we use it the wrong way, then it becomes bad. For example, let's put the poison as an example. I don't know much about poison. I just learned a couple things. So, for example, there is poisonous plants that you apply it in the wrong way and mix it with other plants. It becomes a new product, a new mix that is going to help you to be safe. For example, if a snake comes and bites you and it's a poisonous snake, if you take this mix of airs, you may counteract that poison and you survive. So really, the poison that it was, a poisonous plant, it was created for you to counteract the poison that it was coming from a snake. Right? And the snake poison is created for the snake to protect herself. But once again, let's go back to the poison from the plant that you mix with another plant. It wasn't bad in the beginning, but we can think that it's bad. So what God created, everything is good, but the way we see it and the way we interpret it as bad. So the same things that happen in life. Sometimes in life, bad things happen to you, but those bad things actually happen for something good, so you can get something good out of that. And it does help improve your life when you see it that way, because you understand that pain is not going to be forever, and that pain is going to improve you to become a better person in the future. And when I started my life, actually it does work that way. Okay, the next chapter, it talks about how we get lost in the future and how we get lost in the past. And it talks about how the past doesn't exist anymore and we are stuck in the past. And it talks about how we're going to live the future, but we actually don't live the future, and we miss the present trying to live the future and live in the past. So the human being really is made to live the present. When you live the present, you live in your life. When you worry about the future, you're not living. And when you when you think about the past, you're wasting your life, because that already passed, and the time that you're supposed to live in the present is passing without you living. So the human being is made to live the present, either with all the traumas that happened in the past and the things that we want in the future, or the achievement they already happened and the things that we could suffer in the future. If we try to live those, we live the present, and therefore we're not living, and we're suffering because we're not living the present. If you get what I'm saying, right? Another thing that I get out of this chapter is that God is not authoritarian. If God forced you to do something, that's not love. So He's forcing you to do something, and therefore there is evil in the world. Because God doesn't force you to do what he wants you to do. He gives you the freedom so you can choose God or choose other things over him. Because if he forces you to do what he wants you to do, so then it becomes a dictatorship, authoritarian. And he doesn't want that. He gives you love. And because he gives you love, you make the choices. If you want to choose him over other things, that's your choice. But if you don't choose that, then you pay the consequences, because that's how life works. He's not punishing you. You choose what you want to do. And of course, the closer you are to God, the happier you are. You're making the right choices. By the end, it's a choice that you decide to make. And if you think about it, that's how life works. It's about choices. This is the best chapter out of the whole book. I love this chapter. So, in this book, God is God shows into Mac in three different forms. Into God, which first it's a woman, later becomes a guy, but first he's a woman, but it's God. Then it's the Spirit, which is a woman, and then it's Jesus, which is God transforming into men. But now that's what is God. The three of them are God. It's one God in three different forms. But now there is another form, but that this is not God. This is the representation of God knowledge, and it's Sophia. And this is an amazing chapter, because it helps you understand how judgmental we are, and how we judge, and we don't supposed to be judging, and how you can control your mind and try to understand other people instead of judging them. Doesn't matter who they are. If they're gay, you're not here to judge them. If they're doing something wrong, you're not here to judge them. If they're lying, if people are lying, you're not here to judge them, because you also are a human being, and you actually sinning by judging, which you also have other sins. If another person is in adultery, or if the other person drinks or whatever it is, you're not here to judge them. You actually are here to understand them. So, in this book, when you read this chapter, the representation of God's knowledge, Sophia, there is a part very interesting where Mac is judging his dad, is judging the person who killed his daughter, and is judging God. You have to read the book to understand the whole thing. But in that chapter, Sophia understands that Mac is super angry to those three people, and he thinks when he wonders if he's dead because he's being judged. And Sophia tells him, like, you're not being judged in this phase of your life. You are going to become the judge, because you're very good judging other people. Now you are the one who's going to become the judge. Who should we judge first? Should we judge your dad? He gets very angry when they talk about his dad. Should we judge the serial killer who killed your daughter? He gets super angry and worked out when they talk about that. And the last one, should we judge God for creating the world? Because if we think about it, the serial killer became corrupted because of his family. His family become corrupted because their grandfathers. Or should we go all the way to the end, to where everything started, and should we judge Adam? Or should we judge God because God created everything? Who should we judge? Sophia asked Mac. And Mac was so angry that he wanted to destroy and send everybody they talk about to hell. So then say, okay, Sophia say, okay, let's do that. But now you also have to choose between your 4 kids. 2 of them are going to go to hell, and 2 of them are going to go to heaven. you need to decide which one are going to go to hell and which one are going to go to heaven, because some of them were very good to you, some of them were bad to you, some of them follow you orders, some of them didn't follow you orders. You know that none of them are perfect. Who should we send to hell, and who should we send to heaven? That's when Mac got it. He started getting very emotional, and he started crying, and he said, you can't do this to me. I can't send any of my kids to hell. That's impossible. I love the four of them. I love them differently, but I love the four of them. He started crying, and finally he made the decision, and he said, send me to hell, send everybody else to heaven. And that's when Sophia said, bingo. That's how God thought about you. That's how the serial killer, your dad and everybody, they're all corrupted. But God loves everyone just like you love your kids. It's impossible for God to send everybody to hell. You have to forgive everybody so God can take care of them and redeem them and make sure they regret and they do the right thing. But your job is not to judge the people who did so much evil in the world and to you. That's God's job. That was an amazing chapter. To me, it was an eye-opening. And that's when I started understanding my mistakes. And that's when I started understanding others people's mistakes. And why they become, and we become so corrupted. And instead of judging these people, help them to become a better person. Even though they do so much evil to us, so much hurt. By the end, it's not our job to judge them. And I think it's very bad to send people to court and do a death sentence, because we are nobody. We're not gods to kill people. This is another chapter that opened my eyes, and this is to everybody, to me, to you, to everybody. Not because you think you go to church, that means that you are good with God. Because what talks about this is like that all the religions, they're doing the right thing. Buddhism, Christianism, you name it, whatever other religion that exists over there, they do the good thing. Not because you gather with people and you think you're singing to God, you're doing the right thing. It means your connection with God, and you own relation with Him, doing the right thing. That's what the relation means. So you don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to be a Buddhism. You just have to have a connection with God. So you do the right thing. You have to have in peace. You have to have silence. And you have to have that intuition and understanding and looking for God. If you don't have that, doesn't matter if you go to a religion, because you can do evil even going to any religion. You know, you have pastor, priests, and people who go to church and they still rape, they still kill, they still doing the wrong thing, because it's not the religion, it's the connection that you have with God that makes you a better person. That's another good chapter. We distortion the truth. The truth is truth no matter where, how, and whatever. And lies is going to be distorted, and it's going to be trying to be explained in a different way. For example, let's talk a little bit about transgender. The person is still a person. That's true. That person deserves respect, deserves to be loved, and deserves to be comprehended, and doesn't deserve to be judged. That's the truth. That's very clear. That's a human being. You need to love it. Doesn't matter who he is, who she is, or what she decides to do, or what he decides to do. Is still a human being. However, also it's true that if it's a man, it's a man. Doesn't matter if it does surgery, if it puts boobs, if it removes his penis or whatever. It's still a man in with surgery. That's another truth. However, when it becomes a lie, that's when all the other things comes with the genes. They're trying to do this, and they're trying to do that, and they're trying to transform that man into a woman, and then trying to cover up that he is still a man. Doesn't matter what things he or she is trying to do, he is trying to do. He's still a man. So that's another truth. So the lie is going to become and lie to you in a different ways. So that's another good book. Doesn't talk about the examples that I'm giving you. Those examples are coming up in my head. You need to read the book to read other examples, because this book is so, you get lost in this story. Because he's with God. Remember, he's a normal person who is with God. That he has the same doubts that we had. And the way that God explained to him these issues, or this guy who wrote this book is an amazing psychologist who understands the human brain incredibly, or this guy made God. But only you can make that conclusion when you read this book. It talks about that God is about doing, not talking. So that means that you can't just say do good and you go and do the wrong thing. God is about doing. It's about acting. It's about making this place better, not by talking, by the actions that you're making. This is impressive. This talks about the relationship between people. Intuition, right? You can intuit when people like you and people don't like you. You can who you can bond with. So this talks about how we are colors. We are flesh in this world, but really we're a spirit. So we are colors. And every single time we meet with another person, that's a new relationship. So the colors get mixed. And that's what my colors with, let's say, Javier are not the same colors that I mix with John, with the same colors with my colors, and then I meet Eric, and then I meet Maria, whoever. My colors get tangled with all these people, and we create different relationships, and that relationships is like a new person in that between that. We have, let's say I have 10 colors, and I meet another person that has 10 different colors. When I meet that person, we get those colors together and we create a relationship. I get my 10 colors, I go with another 10 colors with a different person. That's different. That's a different relationship. So that's what this book talks about. It's impressively amazing when you read it and make those conclusions. It talks about there is absolutely nothing that God can heal. If you open your heart to God and understand God, remember, this is very clear. Don't be a victim. This is about you understanding how God works through you and how your life can improve by the things that I already told you. And I think that's it about this book. I believe I'm missing a couple of things that I can talk about more. There is no easy way to heal yourself. Okay? It takes time and relationship to heal. And the reason why God is a father and we think God is a father is because of the lack of fathership that is in this world. That's why he comes more as a dad than as a mom, because of the lacking of fathership. When all you can see is pain, you lose sight of God. That's impressive, because when all you can see pain is you lose the sight of God, because you're trying to heal right away. Remember, we have become a society that all we want to do is heal without time and relationship. So we're gonna do it fast. So we try to take pills, we try to do drugs, we try to go shopping, we try to do a lot of things, but the last thing we're gonna do is feel the pain that is going on within us. Only God can set you free from all this in the world, all the pain. So if you want to be free, God is the first thing before anything. Relationship is not about power. It's not about who is better. It's about combining and working together. Okay, another thing that is very true about this is it's about, we judge people by their appearance. We do that. We just technically do that. That's how we are. But once we know the person, 100%. We're never gonna know a person 100%, but what I mean with it is when we know somebody, we forget about the appearance and we focus on the way they act, because the person is not the appearance, it's who he or she is and the way it acts. This is very important, and I think this has to do with the coronavirus right now and other things. But in the system of the government, the value of the person, the individual, it's how this is weighed by how the system stays alive. If we're not worth for the system, then we're not valuable. But for God, doesn't matter the system, we are valuable. Okay? And another thing that I learned is that it's not the work that matters, but the purpose of the work that makes it special, and you are made for the purpose. So once again, that's what I get from The Shack. I hope you read this book. If you like this video, if you want to go through a couple things and want to have a discussion about this book or anything else about God, I would love to. So I hope you like this video, share it, and talk to you next time.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed the content offered here, then I know you will enjoy these books. These are great tools to lead you to successful weight loss, better health, and greater happiness.